Hello everyone. Today we're covering a topic of international trade. We define international trade as a system of economic transactions between countries which are exporting and importing goods. The international trade takes place within the framework of agreements worked out by countries, exporters and importers, for example, under the regulations of the World Trade Organization, the European Union agreements or NAFTA agreements. And in the past, there were similar agreements between countries trading, for example, along the Silk Way. A product that is sold to the global market is called an export, and a product that is bought from the global market is an import. So please mind the stress. When it is a verb, it is to export or to import. International trade has two contrasting views regarding the level of control placed on trade between countries, and the first one is free trade, or also sometimes referred to as a laissez-faire. With a laissez-faire approach, there are no restrictions on trade, and the main idea is that supply and demand factors will balance themselves and no restrictions or regulation is necessary. Here we picked several expressions that we can use to help us understand the English being used to talk about free trade. First term is unfettered, meaning not limited, not controlled. Look at this picture. These are fetters, which fetter or limit legs of the prisoners. Other term we use are direct foreign investments, support of financial system of payments and loans, and we will learn how to discuss potential advantages and disadvantages of the free trade. The opposite view governments may have on the international trade is called protectionism. And protectionism holds that regulation of international trade is important to ensure that markets function properly. Advocates of this theory believe that market inefficiencies may hamper the benefits of international trade. Hamper, that means to stop development, to hinder, to create some obstacles. And the aim of these advocates is to guide the market accordingly. Protectionism exists in many different forms, but the most common are tariffs, subsidies, non-tariff barriers, quotas, and licenses. Here on this slide you see the explanation of each of these terms. During our lesson we will consider also two main theories behind the protectionism: the infant industry theory and strategic trade theory. Let's start with the first one. Here in infant industry theory, we want to protect and support some sectors which have good potential and they're on the initial stage of their development. And here we eschew or we avoid to something intentionally unfettered trade. Eschew, a synonym of this is the verb shun. You intentionally try to steer out of something, you don't want it. Second strategy is externality. That means to make having a positive impact on something, or another name is strategic trade theory. Here we want to protect and foster some sectors, especially high-tech sectors, and this is typical for developed countries. These sectors which may have strong influence on other sectors of economy and thus stimulate development of the whole industry. In this case, industry or economy can be characterized as being porous. Porous is any material which has these small holes in it through which water can go through this material. But in this case, it means it's easily influential. It's easily influenced by progress in these sectors, which we're going to protect and develop. For example, aerospace industry in Russia, renewable energy is a very, very important sector for Denmark, and agriculture for the Netherlands. Now let's recap on some of the vocabulary we have been discussing. The laissez-faire as opposed to protectionism. Unfettered trade, dumping. Dumping is intentionally decreasing, reducing prices in order to get a competitive advantage. Supply and demand balance, infant industry theory, externality theory, and to eschew unfettered trade. Well, we're going to finish it here. I hope you find this video useful for your preparation, and we will discuss this topic in more details in our next class. Goodbye.